Welcome to The Grand Potential. This is our podcast through the Grand Connection, our virtual networking community. And we are so excited to have Camille Miller here today to share her wisdom, her insights, and her incredible purposeful passion that she leads her organization. She's the founder and chief visionary of the Natural Life Company. Welcome, Camille, and so glad you could make it for our
Thank
podcast
you.
today.
Thank you for having me too. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you. I love your mindset, Camille. I love what you do. You're such a unique, powerful, purposeful woman in leading your organization. And the way that you lead it is in such a grounded, creative way. I'm curious about how you came to where you are now within your entrepreneurial journey. If you can share with us some of the key milestones that led you to lead the way you do right now.
Okay. So my background was in strategic management for not-for-profits. So that, got me in the whole organization thing, right? So I was doing that for a long time. And in 2011, I was hired for the CEO for the state of New Jersey for the Northeast Organic Farming Association. And that put me down. I was always a holistic person. That kind of brought me to that path. It was also a membership organization, but it got me, speaking about food and learning about uptake, and it put me in this world of other holistic beings. That program was defunded in 2015, and I found myself kind of going, okay, well, what's next in my world? I had this job that I just absolutely loved with people I absolutely loved. And I kind of just didn't want to go back to that corporate life, even though fundraising is not exactly a corporate life, but you're usually working for large organizations. So it kind of feels like the corporate life. And when I was kind of searching for my next steps and what to do, I met a lot of holistic people along the way. And I was like, who do you hang out with? Where's your community? What do you do? And learned that they didn't have a community. So I went ahead and wrote a business plan on what this organization would eventually look like. And 90 days later, I launched it. So I really was looking for people like me that embraced both science and soul. I was trying to get away from that woo-woo stigma, but really be true and authentic to who I am. And I knew along the way I loved creating businesses, but I didn't like running them. So I wrote and I tell all my clients this, write 2 columns of everything that you'd love to have and everything you really don't want. And I don't care if it's working 3 days a week or 2 days a week or not having, for me, it was not having a board. That's why we're not a not-for-profit. And then I just created the position and the company all around it and stayed true to it. It's been a very good journey, but a lot of it's, it's not exactly the way it first launched. I had to learn along the way and kind of listen to what the membership wanted and needed and what made us greater, as a collaboration. So, yeah.
And I'm really happy you did a business plan because I'm all about business plans. So I just think it's really profound. So do you still check in with your business plan just out of curiosity? Do you still work with that?
Every year I set goals for the next year. So I had a long-term vision. Yes. And then I had, and I don't always, just to be honest, I don't always know the steps to get in there. So that's part of my spirituality. Like I look at it more like headlights on a car. Like I can see 200 feet in front of me and I know what to do. And I know where I'm going, but I don't always know the step to get there until I've gone that 200 feet. And then the next door opens for me. So I also allow it to be shown to me. So, we started as an in-person group, but we grew so quickly. Then I had leadership in different states and that didn't feel right, So then we went online in 2018 and I taught everyone to have a global aspect to their business, which really played off in 2020 for us, and allowed us to go international. So it's just really kind of listening to what's needed, and if competition or something shows up, how do I differentiate from that? How am I different?
How do you make decisions in your business to move forward? What's your process?
So I always have the plan for the year. I pick one thing to be exceptional in, one thing, and I make sure that that's the plan that I follow. So it's not like I don't believe in going wide and all these things. So I usually try to pick one thing to be exceptional in. And then I pick a word for the year around what that is. And that's my theme for the year. And all things follow that. I know not traditional strategic business planning, but that's what I do. That's what I teach because that's who I am. Just kind of energetically, that's who I am. So I always know kind of what feels right. Last year, my word was relationships. So I spent the entire year making sure I met 20 new people every single month for every month of 2020. I called it my 20 for 2020. So, and it was just building relationships, and it's relationship marketing and how I talk to people. And that was my, main focus. And what it allowed me to do by focusing on that one thing was to build the business. As I started to meet people, I knew that my membership had to grow, but grow in the expertise of the member itself. So now we're a very high achieving, what I call them sole proprietors. It's, a single person that has a business around themselves, and they need to be very high achieving. So that just worked out for 2020. The interesting thing with 2020 was because COVID hit, right? So all of a sudden we had a shift and things happened. So there was a lot of things that you had to, as any entrepreneur, you had to pivot, you had to shift, you had to make some decisions in your business that might not have been in your business plan. A real entrepreneur is able to adapt very quickly. If I hear something in my membership or, hey, we need this, hey, we need that. One of the things that we're launching in 2021 is because of all of this that happened, it was a way to adapt. And it's because I found a gap. I don't know if that really answered your questions, but I feel it, I listen, and then I just have a knowing, but I always have a theme to the year.
Really powerful. And I'm going to invite all our listeners to look at your year right now, choose your theme, and then come up with some goals around that, which is exactly what you did, Camille. Thank you. And also to ask yourself those questions that you need to ask and wait and listen to what those answers are.
Yeah.
And Camille said something else very interesting there is look for the gaps. What do people need? What do people want? And
so I think
that.
The hugest mistake people make, and I see it all the time, is they create a product and then try to find the audience instead of just asking what your audience needs. Like if you're creating all these workshops and no one's showing up and you can't figure out why, it's because the audience didn't ask for it. Like you thought you needed it, but the audience didn't ask for it. It's much easier just to say, what do you need? And then create it. Right.
Well, and that's doing your research. That's doing your market research, right? I mean, it's just
in a way, yeah. It's
exactly.
just being a really good listener, and then you're always serving. If you're always coming from a place of service, then you don't have to sell.
That resonated so much with me on the power of creating, because if we're in a place of joy, we are in that mode of creating, and we're energized to create in that place. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
I'm notorious for telling people just stay in your lane, because a lot of people, like I said before, just go wide. Like they try to get all these courses and all these things, and I'll throw this in, and I'll throw this in. And I was like, then you're mediocre at everything, right? Stay in your lane. Whatever your purpose is, just stay there. Stay very, very focused and be exceptional there. Then lately I've been saying to my clients, does it bring you joy? Does it bring you joy? So, so now it's become my lane of joy. Like
I have my Marie Kondo book right here on my desk. Spark joy, right?
Sparkles of joy. Yeah.
Like you're doing the Marie Kondo a business, right?
I've never actually even read the book.
Okay.
I don't know, but I guess I'll have to put that on my list.
Yeah. So, she's about when you're decluttering your home, does this item, does this mouse bring you joy, right? Or is it usable? If you need it, you need it. And then other things do they bring you joy? And then you only keep the things around you that bring you joy. And then eventually your home is just joy.
Yeah. Well, your business should be exactly the same. You're spending half your life there.
Yeah, or
right?
more. I think I'm
Yeah.
spending like 80% of my life, right? Except for sleeping, right?
Yeah.
And when you have something that you're joyful about, you wake up in the morning and you're joyful. You know what your plan is for the day. You've got that inspiration that keeps you going. I remember, long ago in the 90s when I had a job. That was the last time I had a real job. And a corporate, I worked for the Royal Bank. And I wasn't that excited to get up and go to work.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, it's very different. And now I probably am dreaming about my work now. It's part of my life and my being, and I know that is for you. I mean, when we first met you, we got this excitement about you gave us this excitement about, your business and helping others and growing and living that purposeful journey where you're surrendering to these moments. That's what's exciting. Like you talk about you have your lane, you've got your long-term visioning, but I love what you said about, there's the headlights, right? So
yeah.
you got these headlights going, but you don't know where the road, there might be some bumps in the road, there might be a deer, don't hit the deer, whatever it is. But that's surrendering to that process. And how do you open up to that surrendering? Because that's a little bit of it's either a mindset or a muscle. How can we do that?
It's both. So, and it's really hard. So I'm a recovering control addict. So I had to let go of so much and just allow things to be. So I'm now sit in a place of receiving, right? So, and I make my clients, my members, we talk about these receiving journals, right? Some people do gratitude logs, but I do receiving journals. So you always see what's coming towards you, right? And why you're receiving it. There's a lesson behind everything. So something that might not seem great, there's a lesson behind it. Like, why is this happening? What can I learn from it?
When I was younger, I'd call them mistakes and I would dwell on them and be so upset. Now, okay, what do I learn about that? You know what? You
Yeah.
need a second set of keys, Susan. Whatever that mistake is.
Right, but that's what you learned. It won't happen next time. And I always say it's failing forward. You didn't fail. You're not a failure. You're failing forward. You've learned a lesson, and next time you're better,
Oh, I
right?
love that.
So yeah, so in every business, there's mistakes you make along the way, but I don't look at them as mistakes, right? I learned. If I didn't go through it, I wouldn't be who I am today. So there's never any regret in my life. I hold no regret ever for anything I've ever done or any lesson I've ever learned, because why? But the allowing piece that you asked about is very difficult. I mean, it's a very hard, now it's not hard for me, but to go, and I'd say it took me about 3 years to kind of be able to sit back. A large part of my day as running my company is sitting in silence and thinking, or just allowing it to be, or taking that walk, or figuring something out by not working on it, and just kind of like, if things, so I run a summit, right? And I have one going off in 2 weeks. I don't have all my speakers, and I can sit there and worry about it, or I can just be like, you know what, I'll figure it out. It'll come to me. I'm just going to allow it to happen, and it's going to go off anyway. So it'll be less, it'll be more, something will happen, and it'll all be fine just the way it is.
How many summits have you run so far?
So I'm about to run my third one.
Your third one. And when was the first one you did?
So this happened over COVID. This was a part of allowing. This is exactly a part of allowing and creating. So what happened during COVID, in those first weeks of our lockdown, I'm in New Jersey. As our first week we started to lock down, I sat back and went, holy crap, I'm going under, right? Because my whole backbone is small business. So what I did was I just started pulling apart everything in my finances, and what do I need coming in? What do I need going out? What can I cut? And just kind of did an audit of everything, right?
So you had members in your community at this time, and being small businesses, I'm the same. My clients are small businesses. I lost a lot of clients in March last year. They just all just canceled contracts.
Yeah. So I had no idea, and most of them are service providers, but we're all people. So that was my first holy crap. And it was really getting my finances and everything ordered, but really how thankful I am because I run a very different business today, 6, 7, 8 months later, I don't know what it is, I don't do math. So, but out of that became my summit, because when I started to look at my membership and they started to go, we're here to serve, I don't want to charge people, right? And I saw it all over the place. And I was like, wait, yeah, you should always be in service and there's things that you can do to help, but you'll go under. Like you will personally go under, not just your business, but if you don't have income, you don't have a reason to get up in the morning. Like so many things come, and changing people's mindset around money. So it's really a currency, just like electric, it's a current that comes through you. So when people give you money, it's saying, I'm grateful for what you do. And then your current goes to somebody else and says, well, I'm grateful for what you do. And you need to always keep that current going and not block it.
That's a very good way to put it. When you are charging fairly for your good value, the product you have, and then you can support other people, and you're part of the community. And
yeah, it's the current that goes through. So many people I work with are healers and people that have a spiritual nature that just want to serve others. So what I learned was I started this summit called 6 Figure Souls, Doing Good, Making Money. So I started to interview people that were doing it and were doing it right and still of service, but had very good businesses. So I ran those summits. And then after the first summit, I went, wait, I just went through this whole financial thing. I should teach that. So I called it my 6 Figure Soul Boot Camp. And we do the inner work. What are your inner beliefs? Why do you believe it? We work on self-doubt. We work on forgiveness. We work on guilt. We work on all that. And then we do inner work, outer work, the actual, what's a P&L? What's a cash flow? How do we build assets? How do we pay people? How do we price things? And then higher work, which is where do I want to go? How do I build wealth into my spirituality? How do I network, co-create, do those things? So I got a boot camp that came out of it.
It's all in the last 8 months.
2 months, yeah. Yeah, actually I did it all in like 90 days because it came to me. I'm also intuitive, so I should say that. But, all of a sudden, spirit whispered in my ear, 6 Figure Souls. And I literally called my trademark attorney and just went, I need to trademark this and I'm not sure why. And I did. And so out of it came the summit, came the boot camp, and a new division of our company, which we're launching on February 1st. It was originally called 6 Figure Souls. Now it's called Soul Leaders, for people that want to take their business to the level and collaborate and talk with and have these power partners of other leaders that are leading from this place of service. And then how do we build bigger businesses? Because we all have to be successful. My business actually grew because we were already established. We didn't lose any membership, and most people either doubled or quadrupled their businesses with us over COVID, because we had this place of allowing it to happen, allowing it to pivot. Let's listen to our soul. What do we need? What do you want? So a lot of people are really happier now because they're coming from a place of joy, because a lot of things didn't serve them before. And during COVID, we were able to release them. And you'll see it even in our personal lives, right? There's friends that we probably don't have anymore, or that we didn't keep in touch with. And there's other things that we found that were important because this was a time of clearing. What was important to us came to the surface. And now we can build from that.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
That's absolutely the truth right there. And
Yeah.
I love how you decided to sit back and allow these other arms of your business to evolve and create based on what was needed in the marketplace. And that's a real inspiration for people.
Yeah. What was needed, remember my word was relationships. So the summit created relationships, and now old speakers sometimes recommend new speakers, right? You were introduced to me somehow, probably through someone else, right? So that's where it got me.
So I'm also guessing, because you were able to jump in onto these opportunities as they presented themselves to you, that you have a system and a process and a team in place that could help you make this happen quickly.
Untrue. I just fly by the seat of my pants sometimes, because I do, I have this knowing that nothing bad ever happens to me. So I just go with it. When I have a knowing, I just know. So I can't explain it. I just have a knowing of what I'm supposed to do. And I do it.
And you follow through on it. And you have faith in that. And you know that the right people are going to show up at the right time.
Yeah.
And the fear is not in there. There's an
Fear's
incredible depth of trust in that knowing.
Yeah, that's not to say I don't wake up and have those moments. I had one today that I just woke up and went, oh my God, as I'm hiring a team and all of a sudden my payroll is triple what it was a couple months ago. And I'm like, oh my God. You have those, but I had that, moment of I gotta leap big or I'm gonna go under. Like I had to take that leap because we were growing so fast and I couldn't do it on my own. And like a VA or something wasn't gonna help. Like I really needed to bring in executives at my level. So it was a big swallow hard moment, but I believe in what I'm creating. So I just did it.
Well, it's good you're at a stage where you're not still the controlling person that you said you were earlier in your career, right? Because that's
work.
It's very hard to let all this go and bring other people in when you're trying to do it all yourself or control it all. And you get to that point where you need to have people around you that you trust. And you talked about a quote earlier. It was something to do with surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you.
Yeah, so that's Sandra Bullock said, always choose people that are better than you. Always choose people that challenge you and are smarter than you, and always be the student. So I try to live my life that way. And Napoleon Hill also did one of, I'm kind of paraphrasing, but you surround yourself. It's the 5 people that you surround yourself with. And you surround yourself with people. Obviously, you never want to be the smartest person in a room, right? And that's where, now that I'm creating and growing, that the new division of the company is going to be soul leaders, right? It's going to be people like me, because I want to surround myself with people that we can all learn from each other and grow these heart-centered businesses, because the world needs us right now, It
really does. It really does. So I'd like to step from that place into our third value at the Grand Connection, because it is all about relationships. That's exactly where we stand too. We're in exactly the same position. And I'm so thankful that we have met you to collaborate together. I mean, that's what we're doing right now. And also this concept of collaboration. I'm sure that there's, resources and people that have supported you along this journey and path. Could you share with us some of those relationships that have been really meaningful to you?
Yeah. So I can't say it's like one person. I can put out there that it's usually not friends and family, right? When you go down these soulful places, but also when you start to build businesses, if you're not talking to other entrepreneurs and people that see dreams like you see dreams, it's kind of crushing. So you want to align yourself with people like you. And that was part of creating the Natural Life Business Partnership. Was I wanted to create a safe environment of like-minded professionals that we're all achieving, that are all in different places, that we can reach out and say, hey, I don't have to explain who I am as a person, but I'm having trouble with this piece of my business or whatever it is, So I think collaborating is huge. And once I started doing the summit, it even got better, because now I go to speakers and say, hey, do you know any good speakers? And I usually try to do 10 at a time. But I think during COVID, collaboration even became a bigger piece of it, bigger networking groups. You guys have one, and I'm seeing them pop all over the place, and I'm not sure where I fit into everything. People are coming back to having genuine relationships with each other and realizing that social media is not really a relationship. It's really about, I'm an intimate person. I like to know people. So that's how I run my life. But collaboration is a part of that, right? So I can say, hey, you need to know this one and you need to know that one. And I look at myself as a connector and a catalyst for community. That's really my ultimate goal, my division. When I look at myself, when people say, what do? I create community. That's what I do. It's a lot easier than saying what I do every day. I just create community because that's what it's all about.
It is. And I think that's what people are in need of. I think there's so many people that are in so much fear right now and isolation. I've always said for the last 30 years, the greatest killer of all entrepreneurism and entrepreneurial spirit is isolation. And the reason we created the bottom line for the Grand Connection is to provide this space and place for like-minded businesses to come together, to collaborate, to create new opportunities, new learning, new business skills, new ways to shift digitally, to become their business focused, to be online, and also to connect and build those meaningful relationships to support each other to grow. See such incredible opportunities available because of this big shift that we're talking about here at this particular time. And that I love your perspective to look for the opportunities, to be open to the opportunities, to be curious. And have this deep sense of wonder, like, wow, is this a gap? Is this an opportunity? I just love it. I'm so inspired right now. I just love it. Thank you, Camille. I just think everything you're up to is just absolutely fantastic, and feel very thankful that you made the choice to collaborate with us to be on this podcast, you know. And I think 2021 has a lot of very interesting opportunities available too, when we all can just sit and be open and ask the questions and listen to what that could possibly be. It's gonna be great.
I hope more people start doing it. But yeah,
me too.
I think opportunity is just all around us. Like I think 2020 has actually been a pretty incredible year in a good way.
When you see an opportunity, you know. What do you mean when you say you know?
I've been blessed with a gift of claircognizance, so I just have a knowing of, you know, this is right, this is wrong, this feels good. You know, sometimes I know that two people are supposed to meet, but I don't know why. So I just have a knowing. I just always had that gift. The hard part was listening to it. So I've been getting better at that, like that. That's like a muscle. Anything that's intuitively based is a muscle. You either use it or lose it, right? And you get better and better at it. And that's not to say that I don't question things sometimes. Was that my logical mind? Was that my ego? But when there's an emotion or something attached to it, I know it comes from ego. So I sit back a lot and go, was that from my heart or was that from my ego?
When Susan and I stood at the Grand Canyon and looked at this vast miracle of beauty and grace, and it was shocking to me. It took my breath away. I mean, that's how like, wow, it was to me. And we both stood there and we knew in that moment, together at the same moment, is that we have to do something for these businesses. We know too much about business. We have to be in service. And that was my clear 100% knowing. Like, I knew at that moment that we were going to create a fabulous community. I could feel it just in that second. It was the most wonderful feeling. Wasn't it, Susan?
Yeah, no, it was definitely, that was a knowing there. And we didn't do a SWOT analysis at the time. We just knew it.
So that's it. That's the difference.
See, we come from the business planning background. 25 years ago, Carolyn and I used to teach business plan classes, and you know, you do those strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. You analyze it, you put it on a grid, you put numbers to it. You might do some expected values. So it was very logical. And now when I do see this knowingness, and I see it very strong with you, that you just know, and you follow and you surrender to those opportunities, and it works for you.
Yeah. That's not to say, for anyone listening, that there aren't action steps behind it. Yeah. So people always say, I wish this all the time. I was like, yeah, that's not the same thing.
No, and you do need to do your
really wanting something badly is not going to do it.
No,
gotta
and
actually-
you have the business skills. You've got the support. I mean, you said you threw in there. Oh, well, you got this idea. You called your trademark lawyer. I mean, you've got team around you that can give you that support and help you manifest these things, because it's not just going to happen just on its own.
Yeah, you have to still be smart, right? I still have to be a businesswoman,
Yeah.
right? So, there's days when, the debits are a little higher than the credits,
My dad always, my biggest the lesson in business was when I was maybe 9 or 10, he sat in his desk leaning back and he goes, Susan, you got to have more money coming in than going out. That's the rule of business. It always brings in my head, because when I see the more going out than in, you start to get, we got to change something here.
Well, it's also true, like you're taught that, right? But that's also part of a limiting belief, because it's not always true,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
It's
and what
generally true, but
it's been challenging with different businesses he's been a part of is he doesn't have the same belief of investing in something as much. Like if we spend a whole bunch, because I've got a marketing background. Well, Dad, you got to put in the marketing budget, and that's going to come back next year.
Yeah.
And he was more on the control your costs now.
Yes. So I married a CPA and I'm happily divorced now, but that was part of it. It was like, no, I always saying it's time in escrow, right? So the years I spent building my business, and it took years before I started taking a salary, and being able to be sustainable. But when I had a knowing it was going to work, and I was smart business wise to know, okay, at what point is it going to pay off, right? So as I'm hiring leadership right now, I know that salary is not going to pay off right away, right? But I have in my business plan the month that it is going to pay off if we hit all of our goals, or what if we don't hit our goals. So it's kind of a little bit of both, right? Mm-hmm. But it's time. Well, I call it's an escrow, right? So I didn't make money in the first 2 years of my business, but I make up for it in the 5th and 6th year of my business.
Yeah.
Right. So it's hard, but sometimes people wait way too long, and you guys know this. They don't hire help. Mm-hmm. Right. And you can go under by not hiring help, because they're like, oh, I don't have enough money coming in. Well,
yeah, and you can be in the wrong lane, right? You could be swimming in that wrong lane and you don't know it.
Yeah. And I've heard someone say, I put the ladder on the wrong hill or something. Right? They climbed up and went, oh, wait, this isn't where I'm supposed to be. I got to go back down, move the ladder over, go back up again. Yeah.
But he probably learned on that one hill enough that it's going to help him make that next hill a better hill.
Yeah, maybe you stride twice as fast. Yeah. So it's not a failure. It's just a lesson.
An easier climb.
You said you are smart in business. Can you share with us what you mean, and our listeners, what you mean by being smart in business?
Well, it's one thing to have a hobby or to really, really just like what you do. But to create it into a business, I think is a very different mindset. And it's watching what's coming in, what's going out. It's having a little bit of a plan. I know I say it like I fly by the seat of my pants, but I know what's coming in every month. I know what's going out every month. Like, there has to be some savviness behind that. Right. I know to have contracts and trademark attorneys, and, I've set myself up in a business establishment. I have a CPA that watches all of my books and my accounting and does my tax planning for me. So that's the part. And you know what? I'm going to make mistakes along the way too, as I grow. But you need to be savvy in how you're running a business. There's lots of people that spend tons of money on ridiculous stuff and they expense it, but it's like, how did that serve you? Or keep going, get another course or this or that. So you have to be smart.
And have the right people around you. The good, like we talked about that before. It's absolutely important to have people around you that are either strategic alliances or, power partners, whatever you want to classify that. in areas that you have possible limitations, so you can learn from them and be guided by them at the same time.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just it. It's surrounding yourself with like-minded people so you can build a mastermind, really. So you can reach out and say, hey, I don't know how to do this. Is it something you've done? But and knowing where those power partners are,
being in relationship with them, like you said.
Yeah. So you're comfortable enough to reach out, that you have to be able to reach out and have that community, because I'll tell you, as a CEO, it's really lonely. It's really lonely. You can't ask the people behind you. Most of the time you can if it's a management question, but if you have a HR question about your management, you need other people, right? So,
Absolutely.
or if you're negotiating a contract and you're like, oh, I'm not sure about this, I need to call another CEO. You need to call a like-minded peer to say, how would you handle this? Or I want to open a new division. I've never done it before. I've never done this before. I've never, you need to just be able to call on somebody, but really trust that person too. And that has to do with your relationship with them and that they call you back. That's relationship too, right?
Yeah, it's great. So Susan, do you want to go into the Grand Slam now?
Yeah. So this is the Grand Slam from bridge. Do you play bridge, Camille?
No.
So we're not going to actually play bridge, but there's 13 questions, like there's 13 tricks in bridge. Just
Okay.
ask questions for us to learn a little bit more about you. Okay. So what do you use? PC or Mac?
PC.
iPhone or Android?
Android.
Are you a cat or dog person?
Neither.
When you look down at your desk, what do you see?
My calendar that's handwritten.
Oh, very tactile. Your favorite social media platform and why?
Facebook. Because I feel it's more about relationships.
Okay. Do you have a nickname?
Not with friends. My kids call me the Mominator.
The Mominator? Oh, that's fun.
I love it.
How old are your kids?
18, 18, and 20.
Oh, so they're still calling you the Mominator. That's
well, since they were little, I think I said it one time during play, and that became my name. And they still do. They still call me
Mominator. Oh, that's great. Okay, your favorite food?
Oh, it changes. I was gonna say it can be pizza though. Let's go with pizza.
So what are you drinking right now that's on your desk?
Coffee.
Coffee. Okay, you're a coffee drinker.
And
A book you're reading right now?
so I usually have about 5 books going at once. But I just finished book 3 of Conversations with God. And I just read the intro to book 4. And I have to say, I think it's one of my favorite books.
I read those a long time ago. I should probably relook at them.
I would recommend doing it on Audible because they have different voices and it's a whole different experience.
Okay. All right. I'm going to give that a go. When, it's funny though, with this book list, the list is so long. I doubt I'm going to have to live to 10,000 years old to read every book I want to read.
That's why I have so many books. And
Yeah.
Today I bought another one and I have 3 on my list, but I try to read 2 and I'll Audible like a few, like I have them going at
Yeah.
different times.
You know what I do is I buy everybody the books I want to read for Christmas. So then they're all around the home, and it's basically and they know it. Oh, you want to read this one? We'll just leave it here.
I have a serious book problem.
Yeah. Okay. If you could have one person to have a Zoom meeting with, dead or alive, who would it be?
Oprah Winfrey.
Okay. That's a few people have said that one. What's the first thing you do in the morning, your morning ritual that sets you up for success for the day?
Make my bed.
What picture do you have on your phone?
It's actually my yard before I divorced with purple flowers.
What makes you smile and gives you joy to live your grand potential?
My kids probably give me my greatest joy. Honestly, my membership does too. Like when we're on our group calls and stuff, I love watching them grow. it's almost like the same joy as my kids in a different way.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you watch them grow up and you watch people start their businesses. And, you know, we had someone I talked to, I actually interviewed them for my 6-Figure Soul Summit, who became a 6-figure soul while with us. And it was just amazing to watch.
Well, they're your babies too, right?
Yeah, they are. That's what I said. It's almost that same feeling.
Yeah.
I love watching people grow into who they are.
Yeah. And then there's also that piece of having the opportunity to celebrate together,
Yeah.
right? That
Yeah.
just feels so good.
Yeah. Sometimes they don't always see their own growth. You know, it's like kind of like your kids too. After you get through the attitude, like you see it and you're proud. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true.
Yeah.
So, Camille, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I know Susan feels the same way that I do. That I just love your headset, your mindset, your soul set, your ability to communicate clearly your protocols and practices for your own success. And I really truly believe that this grand potential podcast is going to support a lot of people out there right now. And this is the big shift, this series of podcasts. And I really truly believe that some of the information that we shared is going to support people to come up with their own positive big shift during this pandemic transition. So thank you for taking the time. I look forward to working together in 2021. I just know we will. And I really respect you and I honor you. And I thank you for being here.
Thank you. Honor you.